What's up, people? Welcome to another episode 20. Damn, it's been, I think, about 9 months or 10 months now. We've had 19 episodes, 31 guests. It's just, it's just amazing. I swear to God, it's crazy amazing. Have a lot of interesting people come on the pod, designers, non designers, just to discuss and I answer very curious questions I've had in my head. And it's been a long while. This episode is a very interesting difference from normal episode where I had the opportunity to speak to some students in the school I graduated from, Oduduwa University. The name of the talk was Inspire Growth Talk. We had amazing speakers come from different industry and I'm coming from the design space to share what I've learned in being in tech so far. It's been 3 years a designer and it's just crazy to see. However, what I did was to take the speech I had prepared for UDC, which I got rejected for, shut it down to 10 minutes, which I was given, and as much as possible pass as much knowledge I have learned. So that's what I'll be sharing here. Basically, what I've learned in the last 9-10 months making this podcast, talking to people, and just a brief, just a tiny piece of what I've learned from talking to all these people. It's a 10 minutes talk and I hope you enjoy it. To be honest, this has been one of the very, very greatest things that I have done. Going 9-10 months consistently talking and reaching out to people. I really, really appreciate all the guests that have come on this pod to talk and all the people that have not yet been on this pod. All the other guests that we're still talking to and trying to get them to sit down with us. Thank you. The listeners, the people like you who listen to this podcast, who listen to me ask questions, talk shit. I really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you very much. But I think that's all. As you listen, may you be blessed. With that being said, this podcast is produced by Incame, a research and editing studio. With that being said, let's get into it. Sorry, don't mind me. My cap is backwards, so you won't forget me. It's part of marketing. Yeah. Anyways, my name is David. I brought speech. My name is David. I'm a product designer, UI UX designer. So I design websites. Thank you. I design websites and applications for companies, right? I currently lead design for Nkowoku. It's an Igbo company where we help people learn and make Igbo accessible. We have an open source API that you can use to build technologies with Igbo language. I've been leading design there for the last 3 years. I've worked with so many people and I've learned a ton of stuff, right? And however, what I want to share today is lessons I've learned in the last 8 months from the podcast I have hosted, where I talk to designers and tech people within the tech space. So I will mention the episodes and their names, and if that interests you for any reason, you can just go and find them. I'll share a card with you, so you can just find the podcast on any audio platform, Spotify, Google Podcast, which is free, and listen. The first one is Follow Your Curiosity. Episode 1, Miss Vic. Episode 7, King David. Now, these people have very interesting stories. They will take a long time for me to start talking about them. But Victoria was somebody who graduated from Covenant University from estate management, and she went into that field as an estate management person. She stayed there, she studied estate management, she worked as an estate management person. Now, she followed her curiosity all through that period. However, it changed and she needed to learn something else. She was curious about the tech space. Her siblings were in the tech space and she wanted something else around it. And she started learning design. She started learning product design. It has been 3 years. We all graduated from the internship and the bootcamp together. And more than ever, Victoria is happy. She said she felt like there was a cap for people who were doing estate management. That was her feeling. That was her truth. And she followed her curiosity into design. For King David, he's a designer with over 5 years of experience. Talking to David, I asked him one question on the pod. I was like, after now, the next 5 years, what do you want? And this is what David said. You could hear the smile and joy and his eye glare with so much interest. This is somebody who has spent 5 years designing applications since 2017. He saw the beginning of Figma before it blew up. And he said, oh shit, David, I want to learn more. I want to know more. Have you seen this guy's website? I want to do this thing. I want to be able to replicate this same action. follow your curiosity. David is more than happy to be a product designer, and he always, always, always will be one of the people I really, really admire. Number two is perseverance. Episode 3 with Lois and episode 14 with T.Y. Daniel. Now, Lois was a friend I met at an event just like this one in Abuja sometime. And speaking to Lois, I would learn from her experience and her story of how she needed to get paid, fair money was following her, and at the same time, it felt like she was not getting any jobs, and design had stopped giving her what she wanted. Now, this is a story about perseverance. At the same period of time, everything was upside down. It's just like Pampi are following people now. Back then, fair money was following her. Fair money, she was owing fair money, and she needed to pay for all these things. But she kept on designing and putting her work out there. She kept on putting stuff out there continuously. Now it has been 2, 3 years after that. She's living comfortably. She feels there's still more to be done, but being able to persevere during those period of time was very, very helpful. And for T.Y. Daniel, she's a mother, she's a wife, and she's a designer. At this age and time, there are young people like me, there are young people like so many other people out there that are basically doing this tech thing. You're an adult that is above 26, 27, you get into this field. Sometimes it feels like, how do you cope when somebody that is supposed to be your child is teaching you something, or someone's supposed to be your junior brother, right? Perseverance, being able to sit down and realize that this is not the end. Even though it all doesn't look rosy yet, you still have to keep going. Number three is community. Now, this is very tricky, but you should please listen. Episode 11 with Cynthia Caxton, episode 10 with Z, which is Zainab is my awesome friend, and episode 5 with Katie Chris. If you listen to these people's story on the podcast, they always talk about something. I had a very for Katie Chris, she had a mentor. 6 months down the line of learning product design, all her friends, everybody had already started, getting jobs and she did not. But her mentor was her community. What I'm saying here is from these people is your community doesn't have to meet 4 people, it doesn't have to be 20 people, it doesn't have to be 200. It can be you and one person. It can be you and that person that you genuinely share interest in. Number 4 is intentionality. Know what you freaking want. Know exactly what you want. Episode 12, Wages of Sin, AK Mini. Episode 17 with Vector Chi, and episode 18. Now, these guys are my friends, and these people have constantly within their story tell me exactly why they are doing what they are doing. With Caveman, it has been 3 years we both graduated from learning design, and Caveman just had his first contract gig, which was outside his full-time job. And I asked him why. Like, that's basically how we get most of our money in tech. You do freelance aside from your full-time job, you get like an extra 200K, an extra 400K from the normal salary they pay you. And it's like, they are not giving me what I want. The people who are coming to meet me as freelance companies are not giving me exactly what I want, so you can't work with them. For 3 years, he has kept to that truth of this is exactly what I want and this is what I will hold on to. And that's something that is very, very intentional that I think many people here would have to have for you to excel in the tech space or even outside tech. With Vector Chi, he's a designer at CareerWise, and he's also learning how to code. We had the last episode together and he was telling me, David, it depends on how bad you really want it. How do you really want to succeed? It depends on how bad. At CareerWise, he's a designer. Outside that, he's learning how to code because he knows in the next 5, 6 years, he needs to understand software engineering and he needs to know it. It depends on how bad you want it. The last one we wages of saying, he says that just like as we are at meetings like this, very intentional for you to relate with people and for you to start growing your community. It doesn't have to mean you have to meet the speakers and talk to the speakers. It starts with talking to the people you most generally and sincerely relate to. The person who dresses like you, the person who looks like you, the person who has very, very unique sets of skills or talking pattern that's very similar with you. Those are the people you should connect with. Those are the people you should relate with. That's how you grow your community. Your community is just 1, 2 people within a whole crowd that we live in. And the fifth and last one is from me, episode 20, time, chance, and patience. So I know I have very short time, it's like 2 minutes, right? Now, I started a company recently. It's a small business. Okay, my partner doesn't like to call it small. Chiwindu, a very amazing business partner. She's really, really smart. 8 months ago, started writing blogs, I started just posting articles, right, randomly. And along the same time, even before I even knew her, I myself, I started the podcast out of curiosity, and I was just talking to random people, sending emails and having discussions. I just writing questions and asking them. 8 months before now, we didn't know we're going to start a media research company. We didn't know we're going to start editing audio for people. But we met, and something led to another, and we decided to turn this hobby into a service to offer people. I'm still a product designer full time. But now, looking back, Steve Jobs says you only connect the dots looking backward. What we did 8 months ago without understanding that right now is going to be the portfolio for this new business that we've been able to, in the last 2 months, work with people across Europe, across Africa, and even like impact companies, right? What we did in the last 8 months out of our sheer curiosity is our portfolio. Honestly speaking, you can't control chance, but the more you keep putting in the work, the more perseverance, the more intentionality you have, and taking time very seriously with just understanding that patience sometimes it means just working as hard as possible, because you can't just detect when luck will come around. It took us over 50 companies to get three good customers, and somebody will be like, "Oh, in 2 months you've actually had three good customers," but it took us reaching out to over 50 people. We're not lucky. You're just very hardworking and very, very much capable of doing more than you think you can. So that's the end of the talk. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity to share my learnings with you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, holy shit. I felt cringe listening to myself. Like, that was nice. I had to listen to my own recording. Anyways, thank you very much for listening to this point. That's the end of the talk. I hope you learned a thing or two. Let me know if that was interesting or you learned anything. You can leave me a comment on Spotify, Twitter, or on YouTube. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be really nice. Yeah. What to expect in the next coming episode of this podcast is still asking questions to people. I have episodes coming up with people in cybersecurity, in food. I honestly want to talk to somebody who's a food scientist. So if you know somebody, let me know. In food, in law. So there's so many other fields that I have questions in terms of how it affects creativity and creatives generally. So that's the end basically. Yeah, in terms of turning this podcast into a seasonal thing, like I've reached around figure 20. I'm like, should I turn it into a seasonal thing or not? I really don't know. If I end up getting choked up with work and I'm like, hey, well, let's make it a seasonal thing, it may become one. If not, we just keep doing this either way. But that's the end. That is episode 20. I have 21 coming up. I spoke with Deja Vu, Clement, interesting guys. Those guys are damn interesting to talk to. I hope you enjoy the episodes coming out 21. Episode 21. So for these last 20 episodes that I've had, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank the guests, my family member, my brother, which is like my number one fan. My brother likes to listen to the podcast, he likes to post it on his status, talk about it all the time. I love that guy. My mom who's always reminding me, hey, work on your stuff. My friends. I know my friends, but this is not in any particular order. Yes. Thank you, Mercy, for letting me know when this podcast was not the way it is right now, helping me fix it up. Chi, so much to say. UK them, maybe blessing. There's so much to say. To me, no, my God. The whole road trip community, everybody who listens to my podcast from road trip, most of my guests are from there. Most of my talks, I do research and using them as specimen. Thank you guys, cool community. Harrison, very blessing. My sister who is always taking videos of me, I can use as YouTube shots. Emanuela, thanks Ella. From the start of this pod, IBK, I to the B to the K. Ibuku, I don't know you're calling yourself Ibuku now. Caveman, wages of sin. I know Trudy will come and be like, hey, will you call you female names? The only females you have. Now I've called Caveman and I've called you Trudy. Also, I want to also point out that Obina is a very, very interesting human being. Obina always listens to the pod, like always reaches out and tells me that, hey, what's up, this is what fix, this is, I like this part, I really enjoy it. It's a listener of this pod, like I listen now. You can always reach out to also tell me like stuff that you would want to be fixed on the pod, like, or things that you find interesting that we want to listen to. To be honest, I cover shit, so it'd be nice. Sugar Mommy, always buying golden mod from whenever I go to Lagos. Thank you so much, Miss Vic and David. EK. Thanks, Z.
Please. You remember that thing you told me that day when we were like in the bus, we coming down that step, That thing changed my life, man. That thing changed my life. Yeah.
I'll keep mentioning names. I just keep mentioning, and the whole credits will just be too long, but I'll just pause it here so it doesn't be too extra. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much. The next 20 episodes, before I do this again, one solo episode again, will be nice. Looking forward to episode 40 then. With that being said, see you guys on the next one. I'll see you personally, it's not you guys, since you listen to the podcast individually. This podcast is proudly produced by Inkem, the research company I and amazing children run. With that being said, peace out.